I want to tell you about my experience after first being elected a precinct committeeman, a Democratic Party precinct committeeman in my hometown. When I heard that the regular committeeman for years, Ron Dixon, was retiring from being a committeeman, I decided to go ahead and try. Ron Dixon lived across the street from me as I grew up in Griffith, and I went to school with his son, Ron Dixon Jr. We graduated from high school together. Well, I found out that Ron Dixon was not going to be the Democratic precinct committeeman anymore. I went ahead and ran, and I won. And then came the election, where I was the precinct committeeman for our polling district. And there were two ladies there who had been Democratic Party polling workers for years. And they made me look good. So I took care of them. Our polling, oh, by the way, in the same election, I was elected delegate to the State Convention of Democrats in Indianapolis. Our polling place was at the main fire station across the alley from the town hall. And the two ladies were wonderful. They knew everything about running a poll, and both of them had relationships with my family. Lorraine Rademacher told me that when she was a little girl, she used to play with my father when they lived in Whiting, Indiana. So there was a connection with my father's family. Eileen Janowski was related to my mother's side of the family because she and her husband were members of the Griffith Isaac Walton League. The Griffith Isaac Walton League was started by my grandfather and a few other people as the Griffith Conservation Club. My grandfather was the first president of the Griffith Conservation Club, and later it changed to a chapter of the Isaac Walton League. The last time I checked, Griffith Isaac Walton League is the fourth largest chapter of the Isaac Walton League in the entire nation. So Eileen Janowski was somebody I knew because she was connected with my mother's family. Anyway, the two ladies were wonderful, and we had a good time. Now, Richard Luna was the leader of the Republicans at that polling place. And at first, Richard Luna didn't like me because I was the Democratic Party precinct committeeman. I could tell. I mean, he didn't like me. So I talked to him in a friendly way, and then later that day I said, Mr. Luna, would you mind teaming up with me and both of us present a united front? If somebody comes to our precinct to vote and they don't have no evidence that they live in our precinct, I want us to present a united front that they will not be allowed to vote and dilute the value of the legitimate voters of our precinct. His eyes lit up, and from then on, he liked me. Something came up during that meeting, too. Lorraine Rademacher and Eileen Janowski told me they wanted me to use money that had been given to me to basically take care of the Democratic polling workers, and they wanted me to use some of the money to buy lunch for the Republican polling workers. I said, this is my first time being a precinct committeeman. Are you sure I won't get in trouble? And they assured me, no, you won't get in trouble. Ron Dixon, the previous precinct committeeman, did that for years. And the ladies just said, these Republicans are not our enemies. They are fellow citizens. They are friends of their neighbors. We want to be gracious to them. And so, for money that was entrusted to me to take care of the Democratic polling workers, and by that I mean if somebody had a headache and they usually had Excedrin or aspirin, I would go out and get it for them. If they were thirsty, I would go out and get a drink for them. It was money that was entrusted to me to take care of the Democratic polling workers. But the Democratic polling workers wanted to use some of that money to buy lunch for the Republicans. There were no Republicans coming around and checking on them. They were there just as long of the day. They were putting in the time, being good citizens, and so we decided we would treat them. Now, I didn't originate the idea. I got it from the two ladies that had worked the polls for years. They made me look good, and they taught me something, too. Treat other people nicely. treat other people well, even if you disagree with them. And that's what I'm asking everyone in America. There's so many special interests that want us to yell and scream and fuss at each other when we can sit down and talk about the issues calmly. And if we'll do that, we'll treat each other decently. And after the election, we can all be good friends and neighbors again. It doesn't have to be a screaming match or a fight or thinking that people in the other party are enemies. They're our fellow citizens. Let's treat them with decency. That's my thought.